just in the spirit of doing shorter videos, I put a little slide deck together of just what infrastructure as code is.
I like it, Picasso.
Why do we need it? All right. Let's see. We got Google Slides. Oh, there we go. Click. Okay, good. Okay, so moving to cloud-based infrastructures open the door to building and managing infrastructure in completely new ways. In the olden days, like a couple years ago, actually more than that, you used to have to say, "Hey, I need a server for the server room. I need space in the server room for it. I need air conditioning. I need cables. I need powers. I need people to."
And we're talking about in your office, not
in the office. Yeah, I'm talking about the olden days. So in your office when you.
So you're racking and stacking servers.
Racking and stacking. There is no racking and stacking. Racking and stacking is done by somebody else. So
with infrastructure as code.
Yeah. That's a little bit of just the background of the way it used to be. Thinking of it now, I probably should have put that slide in.
That's okay.
We'll do in post or not. So infrastructure can be provisioned in seconds. So rather than just waiting for your servers to arrive and set them up, you can literally just click a button or hit enter, and within a few seconds to a few minutes to a few hours, depending on how big it is, you can have your code. So you can click the button, go to lunch, come back, your infrastructure is ready for you. Scale can be achieved without complicated capacity planning. So what I was talking about in the olden days was if you miscalculate and buy a smart server that is too large or too small, you have to do a lot of capacity planning, and you end up with unused hardware or hardware that is being used way too much and catching on fire, like that.
Yeah, literally.
So being API driven means that we can interact with our infrastructure via languages typically used for our application.
Like Python or whatever.
Python, Node.js, Go, etc., etc. Go to the next slide. So infrastructure as code is kind of hard to find a description. People have different descriptions, but this is mine. Infrastructure as code is a practice by where traditional infrastructure management techniques are supplemented and often replaced by using code-based tools and software development techniques. So if you are a programmer, you should be very comfortable with this. If you're a programmer who has some hardware experience, that's basically what DevOps is. So you should be very comfortable with this as well. And then we're going to do infrastructure as code workflow.
Okay.
Which is that you have your code because you have to start with the code.
Mm-hmm.
You then have your code in version control, Git or whatever version control you decide to use. Git. Also Git. Code review is where one of your peers, if you're on a team, will go over it and say, hey, that looks good. Or if you put this code in, it's going to break stuff, so you need to change it. Gives you opportunity to change your code. Integrate is where after you click after you've approved the code review, the code goes in and then integrates and then deploys. So one of the things I found interesting while doing this was code deploy is one of the Amazon Web Services for doing all of this.
Oh yeah, I get your point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then this is a loop. This is a circle, right?
Yeah.
This is CI/CD, which is a different topic, but this is you deploy and then you get your results, and then you go back in and do this. And one of the big benefits of this is that you can version control your infrastructure. One of the other things, talking about the everything put ops in front of anything, one of the things that I heard this week is click ops.
Click ops.
And click ops, like click, 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 click ops.
When I play my games, that's what I do.
Also, lots of people in AWS do click ops, where you're going to start an EC. Anytime you go, oh, I'll just make it manually, you're doing click ops. So spinning up a EC2 instance manually is click ops.
It's the DevOps version of hunt and peck, if you're typing.
Basically, yes. Yeah. And it's not a term that I've heard before this week, but as soon as you hear or see the term click ops, it immediately makes sense. And
yeah, it makes sense to me.
And I think back to one of the first ones we did, and one of the first things I ever heard when I was doing my training week 1 was that if you were spending most of your day in the AWS console and clicking on things, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah, I can see that. Sure.
Yeah, and you see that the more you get to know you, more you understand that. But this whole process is the only click is when you do your code review, when you approve it, depending on your CI/CD. All of this could be automatic.
Yeah.
Or you could have like a manual intervention where it goes, you go, okay, the code's in, the pull request is approved, I've got to click the deploy button. But this is just a general overview of the process.
Yeah, it's basic. Yeah, I get it. It makes sense to me.
So that's the overview of the process. And these are the different options for infrastructure as code that are vendor specific.
Oh, okay.
So each cloud provider provides their own infrastructure as tools code. It should be tool, but we'll fix that later. Maybe not.
Fine.
That one's okay.
That's just a typo.
AWS Starter IaC offering is CloudFormation. Because it's the easiest to use, and there are a ton of examples out on the internet to get you up and running with CloudFormation quickly.
It's so great. It's a really good system, I think.
It's AWS specific. It's
CloudFormation is awesome.
Yeah. So I took a CloudFormation introduction course, and I thought I knew CloudFormation. And then I took the what was it? So who are those guys? The Cloud Guru. I took the Cloud Guru courses for CloudFormation, and then like, oh yeah, okay, I know CloudFormation. And then a couple of months later, I took the Advanced CloudFormation course, and then I realized I didn't know CloudFormation.
Yep.
At all.
That's the path to unconscious competence.
Not even close. So the Advanced CloudFormation course for a Cloud Guru is one that I recommend. It's very much jumping into the deep end though. So of
course.
Take the basic one first, because you'll be completely lost. And we are looking for sponsors. A Cloud Brother. The Cloud Guru guys are brothers, by the way, too.
Oh, are they? That's cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah. We'll do a whole
fancy meeting them here.
We'll do a whole history of a Cloud Guru one day. It's interesting because they started their thing serverless and then just sat there for a while, and it took off after about a year. Anyway, it's another video. Azure, which I think I've looked at a couple of Azure templates, but they use something called ARM templates or Azure Resource Management templates, which are basically the same thing as CloudFormation. If you Google ARM templates or Azure Resource Manager templates, I'm sure you'll find similar stuff. I just haven't used it. I think I have made a VM in Azure with a ARM template once, but that's about a half an hour.
Okay.
Oops. Do
Go
that.
back. Go back.
Back.
Okay. Google.
And then Google Cloud calls their IaC offering Google Cloud Development Manager.
That's a mouthful.
I don't. Well, yeah. GCDM. DM. I know absolutely nothing about GCDM. I have never looked at it. Yeah, so Google that. And I can't quite see what that says, but I'm going to read it because I wrote it. Whereas each cloud provider with, and then I can't see. And
each cloud provider will try to convince you to use their tool because you are more likely to get into vendor lock-in state if all of your infrastructure code is for one provider, and then it says what is one to do.
Yeah, that's why Google wants you to use Google Cloud Development Manager. That's why Azure wants you to use ARM templates. That's why Amazon wants you to use CloudFormation. Because if you've got all of your infrastructure in one of these, you are more likely to stay with that provider for longer. And what people call that is the vendor lock-in state, which is it's very, very hard, or if not impossible, for you to move from one provider to another if you need to. And then what is one to do is where I talk about Terraform to the rescue. So I think I'm not going to go full into Terraform and what it does here. I think Terraform's its own video. I'm trying to keep these short.
Yeah.
But the biggest thing for Terraform is it keeps you out of, or lessens your chance of getting into vendor lock-in state because there's an AWS provider, a Google provider, and an Azure provider, so you can use your infrastructure as code to make your infrastructure in any platform that you want. For Terraform, there's I think 1,000 or more providers. What's the DigitalOcean? I can't remember any of the other ones, but there's tons. Terraform to the rescue, or tons of providers for Terraform. But yeah, like I said, another video. And the same thing, talking about Ansible. Ansible is another tool you can use for infrastructure as code, more for configuration management, like Chef. But it still has a place. I say when in doubt, learn it. The chances are more likely than less likely that you're going to run into some Ansible repository that you have to figure out sometime in your career. Like the rumor of the death of Apple computers back in the day, Ansible is going to be around forever. It's better to learn it than gripe about how much you think it sucks.
Yeah.
And I believe that's the last. I didn't do questions. Got questions? That's my last.
You got questions and answers. Put it in the comment down below while you are clicking that like and subscribe button. Don't be afraid to click it. But we've been meaning to put this video in the can for a while about infrastructure as code. And
I'll go back
to the software as a service, all that stuff. We're going to be doing all those things. So this is just the first one in a series of the basics of cloud computing. And this is, like you pointed out, this is multi-cloud. It's not just AWS.
Correct.
Which I started in. So you think of a cloud provider, this applies to it.
Yeah. And when I was thinking of these, we deep dive into the details without giving foundational knowledge. These are foundational knowledge.
Yeah, it's a foundation. Eventually, we'll wind up getting enough content that we'll put it into playlists, and look, this will be in the foundational playlist, I'm sure. All right. Well, without further ado, unless you have anything to add, that is all we have for today.
Have nothing
said. Be sure to like and subscribe. Thank you for watching the Cloud Brothers. We love you. And thank you for the 50.